And we are finally to our last elementary principle, which is baptism. It's known as immersion. But in Hebrew, it's known as a mikvah. Okay? And I want to look at Judaism's definition for this mikvah. Let's look at this. A ritual pool of water used for the purpose of attaining ritual purity. Immersion in a mikvah is performed for the following main purposes. Now pay close attention to this. It is used in connection with repentance. Okay? To remove the impurity of sin. It is also used in connection with conversion. Keep that in mind. There's a conversion happening. A mikvah is required. Because the convert has taken upon himself or herself to adopt the lifestyle of the Jew that is based on the recognition of God as King of the universe and the obligation to perform the commandments of Torah. This is amazing. This definition is amazing. It's a remarkably accurate description of what baptism is for us believers in Yeshua today. See, baptism is cleansing yourself as you draw near to God. As you draw near to God through His Son. If, in fact, you believe that Yeshua died and rose again, you will be baptized. We must understand how crucial baptism is and the literal role it plays in salvation. The role that it plays in one becoming a part, entering into the new covenant. Paul explains this in very simple terms, exactly what we as believers should know and what we should be able to teach others. That the physical act of the immersion process is in fact the act of being baptized into Yeshua's death. Immersion is the physical act of confession that you believe Yeshua died and rose again. And it is an act of repentance, which means as you immerse yourself completely in the water into His death, you come up into the newness of life. Never again to walk in the ways of sin, right? I'll give you an example. Galatians 2:20, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Messiah lives in me. The life which I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave Himself for me. You need to understand, what is Paul talking about here? He was baptized in the name of Yeshua. Galatians 3:27, for as many as were baptized into Messiah have put on Messiah. Okay, so the immersion process is the very act of repentance. Is the very act of faith that you do believe that Yeshua died and rose again from the dead. It is this baptism that holds a great significance for us as believers. Romans 6:3, and it says, do you not know that as many of us as were baptized into Messiah Yeshua were baptized into His death? Okay? Therefore, we were buried with Him through baptism into death, that just as Messiah was raised from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we should walk in the newness of life. For if we have been united together in the likeness of His death, certainly we shall be in the likeness of His resurrection. Knowing this, that our old man was crucified with Him, that the body of sin might be done away with, that we should no longer be slaves of sin, for He who has died has been freed from sin. Now, if we died with Messiah, we believe that we shall also live with Him. Okay, so in this passage, Paul gives us the literal definition of what baptism is. What baptism is for us believers. Mark 16:16, it says, he who believes and is baptized will be saved, but he who does not believe will be condemned. In other words, if you believe, I will be baptized. And if I'm baptized, I will be saved. Okay?